Hello, Booktube. The Inconsistent Reader here with section 20 of the Testaments, entitled Bloodlines. Now, this section includes testimony from both Hannah and Nicole, as I said previously, and they alternate chapters. We start off with Nicole, who, remember now, is in Gilead. And she thought she was at least semi-prepared for what to expect in Gilead. However, being there was a whole different story. And I quote, "I couldn't read people's faces, and I often didn't know what they were saying. I mean, I could hear the words, and I could understand the words themselves, but I couldn't translate them into meaning." And I can understand that. That's how I feel about reading Shakespeare. Like, I get the words, but the meaning gets a bit misty for me, which totally frustrates my love because he adores Shakespeare and he doesn't understand why it's so hard for me to understand. Back to the story. Aunt Bee sat her down after the ceremony of kneeling and praying, and Nicole looks around the room, and I quote, "Everyone was staring at me, smiling in a way that was part friendly and part hungry. Like those scenes in horror movies where you know the villagers will turn out to be vampires." How creepy would that be? To think that you know a place and then you get there and everything is just a little bit off and it totally throws you off your game. But now Nicole has to stay with all the new girls, and they're doing an all-night vigil, which includes more kneeling, but also includes some silent meditation. Now, a few hours in, one of the girls started crying, and later Nicole heard that girl had been turned into a handmaid. So she was glad she just sucked it up and dealt with it. And the next day, Nicole was lucky enough to get to witness a particulation. Yes, that was sarcasm. On her second day. And in case you forgot what a particulation is, let me refresh your memory. It's when the handmaids rip a guy apart with their bare hands. I think they also bite him and stuff and kick him. Anyway, the particulation was that of the eye we talked about previously and Dr. Grove, and I quote, "It was gruesome. It was terrifying. It added a whole new dimension to my picture of the handmaids. Maybe my mother had been like that," I thought. Feral. Well, yeah, we know her mother was like that. She was a handmaid. She had to do these events. I don't know what to call them. Now we get into Hannah's mind space. Hannah is having the hardest time trying to teach Nicole how to live in Gilead. She's fidgety, she's disobedient, she's rude, crude, with a bad attitude. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Anyway, Nicole tells them that shaving her head is on her bucket list, to which Hannah replies, and I quote, "You must be careful what you say to others. Becca, Aunt Immortelle, and I are forgiving, and we understand that you are newly arrived from a degenerate culture. But other aunts, such as Aunt Vidala, are constantly on the lookout for faults." Becca asks Nicole, "What's a bucket list?" And after explaining the phrase, Becca tells her, and I quote, "That's not how we hang people here." That's not how we hang people. Back to Nicole. She could tell right away that Hannah and Becca did not approve of her or her behavior. And sadly for her, they were all that she had. She was lonely and scared. And I quote, "But one of my biggest anxieties was about the person called the Source. When would this person show up in my life?" Back to Hannah. Hannah tells us how messy and slobby Nicole is. She tells us that she keeps breaking all the rules. Nicole goes upstairs. A few minutes later, Hannah and Becca are hearing some thumping, and they go upstairs to check it out. Nicole's up there practicing fighting moves. And they're confused, and they're like, what are you doing? She's like, you need to stay strong. And I quote, men are strong in body, said Becca, and in mind. Women are strong in spirit. Hannah asks her why she feels like she needs to be strong of body. And Nicole just matter of fact tells her, if some man comes at you, you're able to hit him. Becca tells her, girls don't hit boys. So Nicole asks her, and I quote, so you just let them do whatever? And Becca's like, dude, if you entice them, then it's your fault. To which Nicole says, oh, so victim blaming is cool here? And they're just like looking at her like she's nuts. Like, what the hell is victim blame? Like, what does that even mean? And Nicole's just like, never mind. I'm sure she doesn't want to have to explain normal things that they should just know. Anyway, 4 days after Nicole's been introduced to Hannah and Becca, Aunt Lydia comes in to check up on things. Hannah tells her, and I quote, she doesn't know how to behave, I said. Aunt Lydia's just like, well, she ain't from around here. And it's up to you and Aunt Immortelle to teach her so that she can remain safe while she's here. She tells Hannah she needs to continue to be patient with her and just to keep trying. Only time is going to quell her. Meanwhile, the files keep showing up on Hannah's desk. She keeps debating whether she wanted all this knowledge, if she wants to be a full aunt. And I quote, was I exchanging my caring and pliable woman's nature for an imperfect copy of a sharp-edged and ruthless man's nature? Then something happened that changed my view of my position in the universe. Now, normally, after doing her missionary work and becoming a full aunt, that's when she would finally get into the Bloodlines genealogical archives. However, one day, she noticed a new file on her desk. It was her Bloodlines file. Now, her parents' names had been redacted, but it said they were both suspected Mayday operatives. What was really intriguing was that there was another slip of paper in the file. The paper told her that her mom had had another child, baby Nicole. And I quote, under the last paragraph of text, there was a line of wavery handwriting in blue ink. Top secret. Baby Nicole is here in Gilead. And Hannah's like, well, if this is true, why has she not been paraded around? Why is she the only one that's being told? And I quote, by this time I knew that the person leaving these files for me must be Aunt Lydia. But why was she doing it? It's a good question. So Hannah took the pages that had her mother and her sister's pictures in them and tucked them up her sleeve. Now we're back to Nicole again. Now Nicole received a message to go to Aunt Lydia's office, and she asked Hannah what it means. And I quote, nobody ever knows what Aunt Lydia might have in mind. Have I done something bad? I asked. Not necessarily. You might have done something good. So Nicole goes into Lydia's office and takes a seat, and I quote, it's strange, because I knew she was supposed to be the powerful, mean old queen bee of Ardua Hall. But right then, I didn't find her scary. And it's so crazy to me that Nicole feels completely safe with Lydia. She just speaks plainly and honestly, so much so, in fact, that even Lydia's like, dude, you need to watch what you say, especially outside this office. It's not safe. Lydia asked then to see her tattoo, and I quote, she took a thin blade and made a nick in my tattoo at the base of the O. Then, using a magnifying glass and a minute pair of tweezers, she slid something very small into my arm. I find it hilarious that Lydia told her it wouldn't hurt digging into her fresh tattoo. Of course it hurts. And afterwards, Lydia tells Nicole that she needs to mind her manners and especially watch her mouth. It may not seem like a big deal where she's from, but in Gilead, they are punished harshly. And Aunt Vidala loves to dole out punishments. so she really needs to be careful or she's going to get hurt while she's here. Now we're back to Hannah again. 2 days after she looked at her Bloodlines file, Hannah and Becca were summoned to Lydia's office. They thought Lydia was just going to ask them how Jade was settling in. Becca said she was going to tell Aunt Lydia that she didn't think they could teach her anything. However, when they got to her office, Jade was already in there. And I quote, "I have some information to share with you that will materially affect the future of Gilead," Aunt Lydia said. "You yourselves will have a crucial part to play. Are you brave enough? Do you stand ready?" Of course they answer yes, not really thinking anything of it. Normally, when this is asked of them, it just means they either have to give up some of their time or some of their food. Then, Aunt Lydia tells Becca, "Well, the other 2 girls already know, but I thought that you should be in the loop as well. Baby Nicole is here in Gilead." Now, when Becca hears this, she completely freaks out, and she's just like, "Why doesn't everybody know?" And Lydia's like, "Dude, calm down. There's more. Baby Nicole is Aunt Victoria's half-sister." This news just freaks out Becca even more, and she asks if it's okay to hug Hannah. And then, so everybody's hugging and stuff, and Lydia's just like, "Everyone, chill, man." Becca asks where Nicole is, and to this, Nicole, sitting right there, just laughs, Jade. And Aunt Lydia decides to string this ruse along. She tells them, "Oh, she's here at Ardua Hall." She was smiling. "She's in this room right now. Jade is baby Nicole." Now Hannah's like, "No way, dude, that's crazy." Meanwhile, Becca just whispers, "No." Hannah is just surprised because Nicole looks nothing like her picture. And I quote, "No, she does not," said Aunt Lydia, "but she does look like you." Lydia thanks them all for being so accepting, but now she needs their full, undivided attention. She tells them Nicole will be leaving Gilead soon with important information, and she needs both Hannah and Becca to aid her in her travels. Hannah tells her this goes against everything they've ever been taught. And Lydia's just like, "Yeah, this is what I've been preparing you for. Why do you think I gave you all those files? I left you all those files so that you could see the truth. Can't you see how rotten Gilead is? Don't you want to help remedy that?" And I quote, "Remember, too, your vows. You pledged yourselves to help women and girls, and I trust you meant that. This will be helping them." She then tells them that if they don't report what Aunt Lydia just told them and they get caught, they will probably be killed, most likely. Lydia will also be executed, and Nicole will become like a gilded bird in a cage. A bird in a gilded cage. If they do this, help her escape, they ought to know the risks that are involved. Aunt Lydia and Nicole leave the room, and she tells them they have 5 minutes to decide. And I quote, "We have to do it," Becca said. "We can't let them die. Nicole is your sister." And Aunt Lydia, "Do what?" I asked. "We don't know what she's asking for." "She's asking for obedience and loyalty," said Becca. "Remember how she rescued us? Both of us. We have to say yes." I love that Becca is like 100% loyal. Like, she's just like grateful to not have had to marry that guy, and she is willing to do what it takes to stay safe, or what she thinks is safe. Okay. After the meeting, Becca goes to her shift at the library, and Hannah and Nicole go back to their dorm room. And Hannah shows Nicole the bloodline pages that she stole from her file, and they start bonding over their mother's picture, both wondering if they look like her, and then they ask each other if they have any memories of her. Nicole says she was far too young to remember anything, but Hannah tells her that she may have some vague memories. Nicole asks why have their fathers' names been redacted, and Hannah tells her probably, just to protect them, their identities. Nicole tells her also it's probably not safe for her to be keeping those pages. Hannah's like, well, yeah, I know, but when I went to put them back, the file was already gone, so I couldn't. So together they ripped up the pages and then flushed them down the toilet. Now, before they all left Lydia's office, she told them that they all need to act normal. They need to act like they didn't learn any crazy information and just keep going like a day is any other day until she summons them again. Hannah and Becca were supposed to go on their Pearl Girl mission soon. Was that still happening? About a week later, they were summoned to Aunt Lydia's office again, and I quote, "This is what you must do," she said. "I have arranged a room for Nicole at one of our country retreat houses. The papers are in order. But it is you, Aunt Immortelle, who will be going in Nicole's stead. She herself will take your place and will travel as a Pearl Girl to Canada." "Then I won't be going?" said Becca, dismayed. "You will go later," said Aunt Lydia. I suspected it was a lie, even then. Yeah, we shall see what happens with Aunt Immortelle in the future. We will know what happens. And that's it. That's the end of Bloodlines. Next up is Aunt Lydia in Fast and Thick, section 21. We are getting close, guys. I think we only have 6 more, maybe, to do, and then we're done. Anyway, thanks for watching me, the Inconsistent Reader, with my in-depth review of the Testaments. And as always, make good choices. Bye.